For those of you who are not familiar with Nairobi Garage, allow me to do a brief introduction. So Nairobi Garage is Africa's coolest and largest co-working space. We're a community of 150 plus growth-focused and innovative businesses with more than 1,000 entrepreneurs in our locations. We currently have 4 locations across Nairobi, one in Kilimani, one in Karen, one in Westlands, and one in Spring Valley. We offer a variety of workspace amenities, as you can see in the presentation I have up there, from reliable internet to bottomless tea and coffee to breakout spaces and workspaces that are flexible and match your needs and your budgets. This is a picture of our current space, which you're welcome to visit. We do have a variety of packages, as I've mentioned, from co-working packages for individuals and private office spaces for teams. We also have event spaces where you can come and host your events. We have a number of member benefits beyond just the internet and the workspace itself. We do have professional business services. We have networking events such as this. We have local services that we get on discount and just a community portal for people to engage in. We do have an in-house cafe as well. For those of you who have been privileged to try out our Dash Cafe, we have excellent coffee. So it's a great space to come and meet your clients and your team and enjoy some premium coffee and snacks. These are our 4 locations at the moment. We're also located on Google Maps. You can take a virtual tour of our spaces on YouTube, and I'll share a link of all of that on the chat section so you can engage with us there. And these are just ways that you can get in touch with us. So today we are privileged to have a workshop hosted by Lilian Ngirichi. Lilian is a leadership and strategic management specialist. She has extensive experience in strategic management and leadership, training, finance management, business development, administration, and so on. She has a master's in management and leadership from the Management University of Africa, and she's currently the team leader for continuous learning and development programs, business advisory and solutions at Kioko and Associates. Today, she'll be taking us through a session on strategic thinking and how this can be used as a tool for business growth. Please engage with us today. You can leave us your comments in the chat section just to let us know that you're engaging with us, that you're enjoying the session. Any questions that you have can be put in the questions tab, which is next to the chat section. This way our speaker will not miss out on your questions. We'll also have some polls going up where you can tell us what you think. Anytime a poll will go up, I'll put a notification in the chat section and you can go and vote. So please engage with us. We are excited to have Lilian here, and I hope you'll be learning a lot as will I. Thank you. Karibu, Lilian.
Thank you, Symone, for the introduction. As you've heard, my name is Lilian Ngirichi. I am a strategist. I like calling myself a strategist. I work with Kioko and Associates, which is a business management consultancy firm. We offer accounting services, audit services, tax services, and now training and business solution, which is where we lie under. That's why I'm doing this presentation under training and business solutions. So I'll talk a little bit about our training and business solutions services. We basically give business advisory, strategic business advisory that are meant to help your business focus, have clarity on what is supposed to be done, prepare your long-term objectives in form of strategic plans. We do your business plans. We also do organizational policies and procedures. These are the processes that help you run your day-to-day activities, your operational plans, So besides that, we do offer trainings. Our trainings are more inclined towards strategy. So we align our trainings based on your needs, on your training needs. So we just don't do trainings for the sake of training. We'll come to your organization, look at your training needs, look at your mission, look at your vision, look at your purpose, what you intend to accomplish in your strategic plan, and align all that to your training needs. So we are specialists in strategic management. We've developed a program, a business owners forum program that is intended to work with you So in that particular program, you'll come learn about strategic thinking in a more detailed way. You'll do your own strategic plan, which is a 5-year plan, as we learn. So it's a very intensive course, all inclusive. It's a participatory course that will get you thinking, critical thinking. You'll have strategic thinking. You'll be able to open up your mind to understand more about your business. So I'll be able to explain that at the end of the session. So without much ado, I believe we can start our session right now. So today we are going to talk about strategic thinking as a tool for business growth. So as we start, I want us to know that strategic thinking is a first step towards strategic planning, not just strategic planning, any other planning that you may need, whether it's a marketing plan, whether it's a plan to launch a new product, whether you want to start a new business, you want to have plans, any sort of plans that you think of. Strategic thinking is the beginning of it all. Why are we calling it a tool for business growth? It's from this strategic thinking that you'll be able to analyze the environment, you'll be able to analyze what is around you. It's that ability to think as a business owner, as a manager, that will give you critical thinking to look at all aspects of your business, where you are, where you're going, what is stopping you from moving on, all those questions that will now get you to planning and actually use that as a tool for business growth, something that you review every year, monthly, have an implementation matrix for it to know who's in charge of this or who's supposed to do this, things like that. So we'll start with the next slide. So what is the importance of strategic thinking, or we can start with the course content. So we are going to be looking at what strategic thinking is. We are going to look at the importance of strategic thinking as a tool for business excellence. We're also going to see how we can actually use it as a tool for business growth. We are going to look at the winning aspects, what makes strategic thinking a tool for you. Then we are going to look at another concept called zero-based thinking, which I'll be able to explain as we move on. So what is the importance of this training? Number one, we're going to see how we can use strategic thinking as a tool that will keep you focused on day-to-day management. So the term focused and clarity is a term that I'll use so many times in this session. So let's see. Then use strategic thinking as a tool to achieve larger and long-term goals. Then we'll also see how we can keep track of the ever-changing business environment through strategic thinking. We'll see how to spot for opportunities to enhance continuous improvement and business growth. We'll be able to see how we can make quality decision making. The word is quality, not just decision making. Quality decision making through strategic thinking. Then we'll be able to have a beginning on clarity and alignment of the vision, mission of the goals that we've set, for our organization. So let's start by defining strategic thinking. As I had earlier stated, as I had earlier said, strategic thinking is basically the first step to planning, any sort of planning, business plans, strategic plans, marketing plans that you can think about. So it is that ability to think, plan, and devise strategic tactics. You can see there's someone there playing chess there. So it's all about tactics, okay? All about what next, where am I, where can I go, what are my long-term objectives? So you're basically analyzing where you are right now, where you're going, where you want to be, what is changing, and hindrances to your next step before you lay down that plan for you. So we always say that the most powerful tool that leaders and business owners can bring to your work is your mind. Okay, you are the carrier of the vision. You are the one who knows that I need to be here or I need to be there in the next 3 years. In the next 5 years, I need to be doing something different. In the next 5 years, I need to be introducing a new product. In the next 1 year, my sales should have increased by a certain percentage, So it's your thinking ability. You're turning your thinking ability as a business owner to be a strategic tool. Remember, when I talk about business owner, you are the carrier of your vision, your mission. You're the one who will see to the implementation. Most businesses actually fail because of lack of implementation. You may have all these plans, you have thought it through, but implementation is always a challenge. With all the plans that we have laid down, all the plans that you've done, implementation is always a challenge. So let's see the components. Let's look at the next slide, which will now give more definitions on where you are, more explanation on where you're going and where you want to be, what is changing and hindrances to your next step. Okay. So let's start off with a tool that is going to come up soon, but as it comes up, let's discuss where you are, okay? So that is the first step of critical or strategic thinking. You need to sit with a pen, pencil, paper, or whatever you have in a quiet place of your choice, wherever you want to choose, and think where you are, okay? When you're doing this, where you are, you need to be looking at different angles of your business. So I'll give you a simple tool that you can use. We call it strategic pillars. A strategic pillar is something that we use as strategists that will get you to the next step. So the strategic pillar contains the finance aspect, the customer aspect. We also have the internal business processes aspect, and we also have learning and growth at the end of it. So when you're looking at where you are, consider those 4 pillars. Look at your finances, okay? Look at where you are in terms of finances. So some of the things that you can look at in your finances is your profitability, your revenues, your costs, okay? Those are some of the aspects that you can be looking at. So where you are, whether you're making profits and losses or losses, write them down. Make sure that you've written them down to understand what exactly is going on. So when it comes to customers, that is the value. Okay. Sorry about that. So that is the value that you're giving to your customers. Okay, so that is what you need to be looking at. So when it comes to internal business processes, you're looking at your processes. Are you getting your products to the market at the right time? Are your services efficient? Are they in a timely manner? All those things you need to put into consideration. Now, before we move on, there's something that I've put in there in red, finding the dots and connecting them in your business. So strategic thinking actually gets you to do that. When you're asking yourselves where you are right now, all those 5 questions, when you're asking them, you're basically finding the dots. And when I'm talking about dots, I'm basically talking about the gaps. It can either be problems or opportunities in your organization that will get you to have that moment that you require strategic thinking. So among other things, as you can see, I don't want to do a repetition of it. So there's, of course, focus on day-to-day management, awareness of your current environment, keeps you fully responsible and on track of situation, continually gives you opportunity for continuous business growth and improvement, discipline to continuously look forward, learn quickly, and look to the future. So our main focus today will be on the finding the dots, connecting them in your business, and seeing how you can work with that in line with strategic thinking. So next to the next slide, we have a very big dot with a question mark in there. So when it comes to strategic thinking, that is the first thing that you need to ask yourself. What are the dots in my business? And when you're asking that, you need to ask your questions. What is working against me? What is working for me? Okay? When we are looking at what is working against me, we are looking at, is it bad customer service? Could it be debt? Could it be that we have a good product, but it's a wrong product for our target market? We have technology, but it's possibly obsolete, you know? What is working for you? Good business reputation. Okay, so you have that good customer service that is working for you. You have financial muscle, which is a plus for you. Good corporate governance. You have a board of directors who are quite competent and are able to advise you. You know, they are giving you or they're moving you to the right direction. You have a good team. That is your people. So what are the dots in your business? So it can either be gaps, it can either be that thing that works for you or that thing that is working against your business and all that. So when you're doing strategic thinking, you need to write all these things fast. Okay? So on to the next slide. We are now going to look at the tool that will help you find your dots and connect them at the end. So what we have here is a diagram that you can all put down as we are discussing this. So in the middle, you can see business excellence tool. Why is it a business excellence tool? Strategic thinking requires you to look at where you are, where you're going, where you want to be, what is changing, what is preventing you from getting there. And lastly, something that we always forget and something that makes us not successful in our business: implementation, execution, monitoring, and evaluation. So let's start with the first bit, where you are. Okay. So as we are waiting for the slide to come up, we can possibly do a quick write-up on your notebooks. Look at your business, okay? First start with, what are those dots in your business? We can start with that. So put them into two categories: what is working for you and what is not working for you. So let's do that. You can give it maybe 30 seconds. What is working for you? Is it your finances? Is it your financial muscle? Is it your good reputation? You know, is it your good internal processes? Is it your team? You know, all those things. Then next question, what is working against you? It could be debts, you know, it could be poor business processes that are making you less efficient, you know, your technology is off, you possibly don't have the right team, you possibly don't also have the knowledge. So let's write them down as we start with where you are. Okay. So I believe we all have that. Don't worry, if you haven't written it down, we'll continue writing as we proceed. So let us look at where you are. As explained earlier, I want us to use a very simple tool. I don't want us to think so much. I've provided these 4 strategic pillars. This is information or a strategy. This is something that we use for strategic planning. Okay, so use this where you are. Let's start with your finances. Okay, after you've listed down what is working for you, what is not working for you, let's start with where you are right now. Okay, let's start with finances. Look at your costs. How are your costs of operations? Okay, are they high? You know, are they within range? Is it something that is working for you or working against you? And fill in your part, whether it's working for you or it's working against you. Next, do you have books that will tell you that you're either incurring losses or profits? Okay, so that could also be your dot. It can also be a positive for you, it can be a negative for you. So if you don't have the books, put it under the category of what is working against you. I don't have books, or I don't have a bookkeeping system, I don't have a recording system, okay? That will even get me to know my profits or losses, okay? Revenue is something that we all keep. It comes automatically for us, most business owners, okay? But that's a mistake we make. So is it enough to just have the revenues and not have the costs that will show you whether you're making a profit or loss? No. So with that, that is where you are. Analyze that and categorize it, whether it's working for you or it's working against you. What is working for you, what is working against you. Then you move to the next pillar, your customers. Your business, I don't think there's any business that can survive without customers or clients, depending on the industry that you're in. Okay? So you look at your customer, analyze it. All right? Same category. What is working for you? What is working against you? Let's look at customer experience. What is the experience of your customers or clients? Okay? Is it working for you? Is it working against you? Are they satisfied? Are you meeting their needs? The needs your client needs, like you have this product. Is it what they want? Are you getting referrals from your customers? If not, you need to know that it's possibly working against you. There's something that is wrong. Reputation. With good reputation, that can work for you. With bad reputation, that is going to work against you. All right? So then we move to the next pillar, internal business processes. This is where your magic happens, okay? This is where I actually call it a pot. This is where your pot is for you to serve what you have to your clients and for you to even determine whether you're going to get your revenues or you're not going to sell or you're going to get profits or not. Look at your products. Are they the right products? Is your service the right service? Is it up to date? Or you're offering services or products that were possibly meant for 2010? With this crisis, with the current COVID crisis, things have changed. As we all know, we've had so much changes, especially in technology, innovation, Like now we're doing an online training. Earlier, before COVID, it wouldn't have been possible to have online trainings. I mean, why have an online training? It doesn't make any sense. But now the virtual trainings are making more sense because you're able to do it at the comfort of your homes, at work. You can multitask as you listen to these trainings, as you listen to a podcast or something. So what I'm saying is that are your internal business processes relevant? Do they work for you? Are they working for you or are they working against you? Look at your skills. If you're in the service industry, do you have the right people to ensure execution of your services, of what needs to be done? If you have a manufacturing company, okay, do you have the right equipment? Do you have the right people to run those machines? Do you have the right technology? Your business model. We have seen all this advocacy of green energy. You can't export to a country when you have not put into consideration such things like conservation. Are you still using wood, instead of new technologies that are out there available? How is your business model? So those are the things that you need to be asking yourself. Where are you? Categorize it. Remember to categorize it. Is it working for you? Is it working against you? Then finally, learning and growth. That is expertise, innovation, creativity, continuous learning and improvement. So with this particular pillar, it's very important. Why? That is the part you get to know that there's a new technology. There's a new way of doing things. So as a business owner, however much I've been there, however much we say that we don't have time to do certain things. One of your goals or one of your agendas in your to-do list is you need to have a section for learning and growth. I'll give you an example. Today morning, I was in a training that actually opened up my mind in different aspects. I am a trainer. I am a strategist. I need to continuously learn. I need to continuously grow. I need to continuously listen to what is out there for me to be able to deliver and give something that is relevant. Okay. So normally this pillar starts with the finance at the top, then customers, then internal business processes, learning and growth. So it forms one pillar. So if you look at where learning and growth is, it is at the foundation. Without knowledge, there's a high chance that you'll not be aware that your internal business processes are not working for you. If your internal business processes are not working for you, what are you going to give to your clients? You're not going to give them what they require for their business. You're not going to give them any solution. And in turn, it goes up higher the hierarchy. Your finances, you'll not have any revenues to account for. You'll just be spending money, no profits. You'll just be at the losses bit of it. So where you are, you can use this simple tool to analyze all that and still do the same categorization. Now that you know where we are, we move into the next step. Where are you going? Okay? This is us, the white person. This is us, business owners. Okay? Where are you going? For you to know where you're going, you need to have an idea. For example, I want to possibly go to CBD. How do I get there? I need to walk, possibly get a cab, a light, and get to CBD. It's the same with a business. I have this business idea, I have all these needs that I've put in, these solutions that I want to give to my clients. But there's a step to it. As you can see, that person, it's a step moving towards a particular goal. So what am I saying? Where you're going, you need to have a goal. Okay? Some of us may say that goals are overrated. No, they're not. For us to know where we are going, we need to have both personal goals and business goals as business owners, right? So with a goal, you'll be able to know that I need to start with this for me to move to the next step. As a business owner, where does it start? It starts with a vision, right? You described where you are. Okay, so surprisingly, when I'm sure when you are listing all those things, there were some light bulb moments coming up, and you're like, I've possibly not been doing this. Okay, you realize that your vision or mission may change when you're learning or when you're understanding where you are. Okay, now knowing what you know, you say, where am I going? Okay, I have realized that this is working against me. I need to repurpose myself. I need to have a mission, or if you already have a mission, I need to anchor it and let everyone who's working with me know my vision. I am the carrier of the vision, but it is your it's your mandate to let everyone working with you know your mission. Okay? So as you're moving forward, you need to understand whether you have the right business model. Okay? Do you have the right product? Do you have the right people? Do you have the market? Okay? Now, from there, prioritize what you've listed down. Where am I? Prioritize. These are my short-term goals. Okay? From your list, from what is working against you, from what is working for me. What can you change? If it's something that you can change immediately, put it under your short-term objectives. If it's something that will take time, possibly because you need finances or you need to make a few arrangements, put them under your long-term objectives. Now, let's go to the goals. I'll encourage each and every person, each and every one of you, to have goals. I'll give you a pretty simple idea of how you can set your business goals. I will not go to the personal goals first, but I'll mention it. How do you set your business goals? Remember the 4 pillars, the strategic pillars that we mentioned, that you were analyzing, okay, when you were doing the where we are right now. Have goals, simple goals, on the finance perspective. For example, financial sustainability, your goal number 1. Number 2, depending on where you are or on the size of your business. So I'm just giving an example. Under customers, you can say customer acquisition. So it depends on where your business is, right? Under internal business processes, you can go to things like capacity building. So it's more about what your business is doing. You can say, you can have a goal. Let's say capacity, no, not capacity building. You can do organizational stroke institutional development, all right, which will capture all the processes and procedures. Then you can have one final one under learning and objective, where you're saying capacity building or possibly recruiting, I don't know, something like that. So it depends on the level that you are. So those are just examples. Once you have those 4 goals, there shouldn't be many, 4, 5, okay? Don't overstretch them because you will lose your focus. So once you have those 4 goals, look at what is working against you or what is working for you. List them under each pillar. Those will possibly form your short-term or long-term objectives, and from there you can prioritize them. You can have short-term objectives and long-term objectives. You can have one that seems like a long-term objective, but it is a priority for you. That will give you your focus and clarity. So let's move on to the next slide. Where you want to be. Okay, so once you have where you are, where you're going, you now have where you want to be. That is your strategic direction. You've realized that you have a mission, you have a vision, you have all these objectives, but you need a path. You can either reevaluate your mission, your purpose. With all that list that you have, the list that you've made, put in priorities. It doesn't matter whether it's a long-term or short-term objective. Put them as priorities. I'll tell you one thing. If you have a purpose or if you have a focus, it's very easy to find solutions and achieve what you had thought as a long-term objective. It will actually come out as something that will actually work for you. So once you have those priorities, put in strategies for them. This is now what you're calling strategic thinking. As you're writing all this down, you're having strategies all laid down for you. You'll have that light bulb moment. You're like, aha, those aha moments that I need to do this. For me to possibly introduce a new product to the market, I need to maybe conduct a market survey, which is some of the things that most of us forget to do. Yeah, you can actually even ask a group of people to ask these questions for you, or someone in the same industry. There are people out there who are willing to help. There are companies out there that is their job, to find out what is in the market. Okay, those are strategies. If you don't have finances, there are vast options to raise money, especially in this COVID situation. We can see different institutions coming up to do refinancing of your businesses. There are so many ways. You can either speak to your strategist, you can speak to your financier and tell them that I have this plan. As long as you know where your focus is, it is quite easy to strategize and achieve that. So what I want to bring to your attention here is the priorities bit of it. One mistake we make, we have all these things written down. We've written like 20 points, but do we ever prioritize? Do we have our number ones? Do we have our number twos? Do we have our number 3? One golden rule on goals is that we need to first finish priority number 1 before we move to priority number 2. So I'll give you a pretty simple tool that you can use. Organize your priorities into A, B, C, D. Okay? A is the most important. B comes in second. C is possibly something that is important but not that important. D is what you can delegate or possibly outsource. One golden rule: never attempt B if you haven't attempted A. That is one rule of focusing. You need to focus. Otherwise, you'll be running everywhere without a plan. So I'm telling you all this, I'm giving you all these ideas, but remember, focus, prioritize. Don't do B if you haven't finished A. Don't do C if you haven't finished B. At the end of it, you realize that C and D is not something that you really need to do. You delegate. Find someone who can do it for you and focus on your mission and on your purpose. So with that said, I think we'll take a short break to look at the questions.
Okay, so we have 3 questions right now. Thank you everybody, by the way, for engaging and for your comments and your questions. We appreciate that. So Lilian, Team Juguna is asking, should we treat as part of strategic thinking items on the circle of concern, that is items we have no control over, but critically affect our business? How should we consider them? And also, how often should we revisit the strategic thinking tool without adversely affecting execution?
All right, so I can't seem to see the question.
Let me just read it again. Tim is asking, as part of strategic thinking, should we treat the items in the circle of concern, items you don't have any control over but are affecting your business? How should you consider them?
All right, thank you very much, Njuguna. So, Tim, thank you. I've actually recognized you. Tim is a very good friend of mine. Thank you for the question. So here is my response. I hope I'll be able to answer your question well. Now, the items on your circle of concern, but you have no control over, but critically affect your business. I would like to look at it in 2 angles. The first angle, if it's not affecting your business, it's possibly a threat, okay? Because of course you don't have control over it. It's a threat. Most of the time, when you're having such an issue, which is not mostly, it is actually a concern. I'll give an example. Let's use the COVID-19 situation. It affected our businesses critically, but we had no control over. So this is the time you apply strategic thinking. COVID-19 is something that will possibly stay with us. It's a time for us to reevaluate our business model. Okay, so these items are not to be left alone. It's not within our control, it's a threat. They need to be reviewed. Look at your business model, look at your purpose, look at the innovation, the technologies, innovation, any ideas that can come in place that you can move with without affecting your focus or without affecting your purpose of the business. So I hope I've been able to answer that. How should we consider them? Oh yeah, they need to be taken, they need to be put into our priority list, but be careful not to affect your business, not to affect your goals. But again, however much I'm saying that they should not affect your goals or your priorities, it is a point of concern. If you don't work on them, you're going to be outrun. You'll no longer be relevant. I'll give also an example of the telephone booths and the mobile phone and what happened to Telecom Kenya. Telecom, or that time it was Kenya Postals and Telecommunication. At that time, the booths were the in thing at that time. But again, the mobile phone came in. That was a threat. But Safaricom were not able to quickly pick up that threat because, of course, where I stand from, they had their mission, they had their goals, they had their objectives. And again, they were not able to look around. So that's why the booths came in, and Kenya Postal and Telecommunication went out of business. So that is what will happen if you don't take note of what is happening outside your environment. Again, how often should we revisit the strategic thinking tool without adversely affecting execution? Quite simple. During your weekly meeting, every day of us executing our businesses, it is time for us to ask ourselves, where are we? Are the goals we plan for ourselves working for us, or are they working against us? So strategic thinking, I would say, is a tool that you need for your day-to-day basis. Okay, it's something that you require for to go on with your day-to-day operations. So one thing I didn't mention about all these plans, all these goals and objectives, they need to be flexible. Why? In case of changes in the environment, you are easily able to adopt to the changes. So there are more explanations as we move on, as we proceed. There are more slides that will anchor this understanding for this. So I hope I've been able to answer your question, Tim.
I think you have. And I want to also mention Victor Kenneth's question. Victor is asking, could you define what is a strategy? Because I feel we've gone far along and maybe he may have missed the intro where you talked about it. So maybe just describe for those who don't actually understand what exactly is a strategy.
Okay, so thank you, Victor, for your question. So I'll take you a step back. Strategic thinking is the first step towards strategic planning. Okay, so I'll go to your question. Strategies. Strategies are those things that you put in tactics. Let's call them tactics for easy understandings. They are the tactics that you put in place to execute your plans, your objectives. You've listed your objectives. You've listed that this is what I want to do. You go ahead and ask yourself, what tactics or what strategies do I need to put in place? Do I need to pump in more finances for my business? Do I need to look for more salespeople? Those are strategies. Okay. All right, Victor, I hope I've been able to answer.
Great. So Dennis also asks a question. Maybe we can look at his question and then we can proceed. He's saying that we are witnessing institutions teaching about strategic thinking in businesses, also suffering insolvent and actually struggling. So how do we move from knowledge to practicality?
Thank you, Dennis. It's actually a very important aspect to look at. I may have an idea of what you're talking about, but I'll tell you one thing. It's one thing to talk about it and plan, and it's another thing to actually implement it. So for your case, we have learning institutions that are actually struggling and suffering. So sometimes we are not our own doctors. So in such a situation, I would say it's important for us, even however much we are saying that we teach these things, we teach about strategic management, it's also important for us to sort of get help from somewhere else. So one example, if you are a doctor in an institution, so you're possibly the one giving that service. You're possibly the one with the business model. But remember, you cannot be your own doctor. It is quite important to get a different perspective from an outside person. So one thing is that you cannot be your own doctor. It's okay to get help out there. It's okay to get advice. Learn, do more of learning and development of yourself. That is the only way you're going to move from where you are. And again, there's the implementation bit of it. We have all these plans from a different side or from a different perspective. We have all these different plans, but without implementation, without execution, without monitoring and evaluation, we are just possibly having a rug on our doorsteps that we are possibly just stepping on and moving forward. All right. So I think we'll be able to capture more questions as we proceed. Thank you very much. Dennis, thank you for attending. Um, Dennis was actually one of my students somewhere. Thank you very much. So we'll proceed with the next step. What is changing? So this should also be able to answer Tim's question and possibly some of the questions that we have not been able to answer. So at this point, I want us to look at one important thing. What we do as business owners, which is very common, we tend to put ourselves in a cocoon, in a basket, know it all, right? We tend to sort of sieve out what is happening out there. One lesson I've learned, even from my own experience, it is important to always ask yourself, what is changing? And you need to look at it both from the internal and external factors. You don't want to find yourself in a situation you have a good team, but you did something wrong, and your internal team, they're all ganging up against you, and they have actually formed their own company. Why? Because you didn't raise your head high, or you didn't raise your head up to check what is happening. I always give this example of a CEO. When you're a CEO or when you're a business owner, you don't need to have your head buried into your laptop. You need to have your head high up. I call it an eagle's bird's view. If you have your head buried down, most of us make that mistake. I also made that mistake with my business. You put your head buried down. Just do that. Put your head down. There's a chance you'll see what is happening up there. If you put your head straight up there, I call it an eagle's bird's view, you'll be able to see what is happening inside and what is happening outside. Okay? Your internal environment. So when you're talking about your internal environment, you're looking at your people, you're looking at your processes, you're looking at your products. Are they still relevant? What is happening out there, your external environment, you know? We have this situation, like Tim has placed it, circle of concern, which are affecting our businesses, but are not in our control. Those are external environment factors. We call them threats. They are not within our control, but they are going to affect our businesses one way or another. Look for opportunities. What is changing? You're in your business, okay? There's a chance that there's something that has come up which can bring or can boost your business. An idea that has come in, and there are opportunities out there. Remember, these are still things that are not within your control, but it's an opportunity that you can grasp and use it for you. Internal environment, I always like, or it's common knowledge, or it's knowledge out there. We are looking at strengths and weaknesses. These are things that are within your control. They are things that you can easily control, you know. Have a motivated team, a team that is performing, you know. Make sure that you have all those aspects, performance management, you have all those tools to ensure that your strengths remains your strengths, your weaknesses can be converted to strengths. So don't just leave them at weaknesses. Convert those into strengths. If it cannot be converted, it's possibly not important, and move on to other aspects. So when it comes to threats, please don't leave them alone. Again, don't lose your focus, but you need to be aware of them and you need to change. Remember, as you said, your goals, your objectives needs to be very flexible. So of course, we have this tool, a pastel analysis tool, which is very important. You possibly don't even have to list it. You can read through newspapers, the Business Daily, to know what is happening in the political environment, in the economy, social economy. Let's say I'll give a situation like the COVID crisis situation. People are looking at things that are more of survival, you know, products that will help them move to the next step rather than luxurious products. But again, it depends on the category. There are those who maybe the COVID has not affected them. They're still up there. They're still, doing what needs to be done. So you need to be very careful. You need to know what is changing and what is not changing. Again, there's one thing we forget to do: conduct a stakeholders analysis. What is this? A stakeholders analysis is basically anyone who's related or has an association with your business. We are talking about your employees. We are talking about your suppliers. We are talking about your board of governance. We are talking about your industry regulators, KEBS, all those stakeholders. So it's quite important to do an analysis of all these for you to be able to know where you stand with compliance, where you stand with regulation, where you stand with your suppliers. Again, remember, suppliers, the case of business reputation, you don't have a bad reputation. You're also looking at your employees. You don't want to be left in the dark. Your employees have possibly formed a competing company against you because you did not check what is changing in your environment. So on to the next slide. So there's one thing that we suffer from, business owners. We've identified things that are working against us, and we find ourselves sitting next to that wall. It's a door. You know very clearly that it's an open door, but there's that wall that we've created for ourselves. Most of us, I think, as business owners, sometimes we are faced with fear of the unknown. That door is quite open, but that wall is in our minds. That is what is preventing you from getting there. So if you've done your analysis of your weaknesses and your threats, you've done a stakeholders analysis, all right? What is preventing you from there? Business owners, this is what is preventing us from getting there. Focus, clarity, discipline, leadership skills. Okay? The moment you face or you lose focus, that wall is going to come up like that all the time. But the moment you prioritize and say, this is what I need to do first, that wall is going to drop brick by brick, one step at a time. It may not drop all of it, but you'll start seeing some light on the other end. It's going to drop one by one. Okay? So what are some of the things that as business owners prevents us from getting where we want to be? Poor planning, right? We have done a strategic plan, we've done a business plan, but it's a doormat for us. Okay? We are saying it's somewhere in the shelves. We've done it, but how do you get to know your priorities? How do you get your plans if you're not able to open that document, or if you're not able to write down your goals on a day-to-day basis, if you're not able to break down those goals on a daily basis? How are you going to move forward, right? So if you have poor processes and procedures, you have this product, let's say you're selling soap, okay, or you're selling milk, but your processes and procedures in the organization are releasing your vehicles at 8. That is something called timing to market. What happens? Yeah? You'll go find that your competitors are already in the market. Because you left the office at 8, your competitors woke up at 5. By 5, 6, 7, they've already covered like 100 kilometers when your team was still waiting for your product to be packed, right? You may have all these processes and procedures, but you have poor products, poor services, or you haven't really known what kind of service that you want to offer your people. What do you want to introduce to the market? Is it really relevant, right? So there's technology, obsolete machines, slow machines, whereas your competitor has these machines that produces maybe 1,000 pieces in 30 minutes, and you're there producing 1,000 pieces in 1 day. How are you going to compete? So this is where we're saying categorize. What is working for you? What is working against you? So I will not leave it at that with all these negative issues. Convert all that into positive. So if you're saying you're lacking focus, prioritize. put a focus on it. If you're saying you're lacking clarity, know your mission, know your purpose. Discipline is very important for you to follow through with focus. You cannot do anything if you're not disciplined. Like, for example, if you're not disciplined enough to first finish A before finishing B, you lose focus. Okay? Leadership skills. You need that so that you can be able to know what is happening in your internal environment. So moving on to the next slide is something very interesting. I actually like talking about this, connecting the dots. So all that you've done, all those are dots, okay? Whether positive or negative. So it is at this point, before I even explain what connecting the dots is, I'll ask Symone to bring up something, just a quick exercise for us. I know with all this training, with all this focus on the projection, you need a small break. So it's a small exercise. You can type in on the chat section. Okay. So a quick glance. We can quickly type in what we see on the screen. So it's almost there. A quick glance. Quickly, let us type in what can you see on that screen? What does it look like to you? You can have 2 or 3 answers. What does it look like? A dolphin? Christmas tree? We have a puppy, a fat cat. Okay. All right, so as we're doing an elephant, as we're doing that, I'll ask Symone to quickly join the dots for us to see what that is. So we start from 1. I want us to note where she started. She started from point number 1. So someone says an elephant, a Simba. Oh, okay. There we go. Part of a face. Does it still look like a face? Okay, we can possibly type in what does it appear to be as Symone is joining the dots. A dolphin, all right. So remember to follow the dots. A dolphin, good. Great. It's actually a dolphin. So what is the moral lesson of this drawing? Remember we talked about the dots, the different dots, okay? Those dots, they are not usually clear if you don't put them together. Remember we talked about priorities. Number 1, as Symone did this, she started from number 1, 2, 3, and as she was doing all that, it became clear, okay? So with a business, as long as you start with your dots, strategic thinking, it becomes as clear as this image. So what is connecting the dots? Connecting the dots is collecting all those ideas that you came up with in the strategic thinking and putting them together into something that is clear, a clearer picture of your business. I hope that makes sense. So it's as simple as that. Then we have a simple saying there from Steve Jobs, the late. We say you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that somehow the dots will connect in your future. So I hope that makes sense right now. So moving on to the next slide. This is something I call a strategy map, or most strategists call a strategy map. So once you have all these ideas or you have all these dots, what is working against you? What is working for you? Remember the pillars, your finances, okay? You now come up with strategies. My costs are high. What do I need to do? I need to reduce costs. Look at where the internal business's process is. It's a connection to the cost reduction. For me to reduce costs, what do I need to do under my internal business processes? I need to improve internal efficiency. I hope that makes sense. Another example there, for me to improve internal efficiency, I possibly need to increase acquisition. What effect does it have? I'll have improved customer experience. What dot does it connect to? Increased profits. Okay, so we have things like increased consulting knowledge, which has something connecting to it, improved customer experience. So what am I saying? All those dots that you've put up, all those opportunities that you have, all those negatives that you have for your business, turn them into strategies, opportunities, and join the dots, connect the dots. If you look at this strategy map, I think it's pretty clear that one thing leads to the other. So one thing I want to tell you in a business, if you have a breakdown somewhere, it will affect the whole operation of the organization. So remember not to leave that alone. It needs to be addressed. And for you to address that, you need strategic thinking to get you to the next step. So on to the next slide is a simple concept that I'd like to share with you as you're still doing strategic thinking. So this is just a simple example, which I think by now we all have, or we all know, or we've possibly learned from the past what it's about. Okay, so we might have a mobile phone right now, but we can see even from the news or from papers that all this is changing. We're having these concepts, people looking at a bracelet, a simple bracelet replacing the phone. What happens if these manufacturers don't change with the future, or what is happening with the changes in the environment? There's so much technology out there. What happens if we don't change with that technology? You'll be back to the booth, will be in the past. So remember, our present can also be our past, and our future, our present. So it's up to us to always look up, use the strategic thinking, the concepts for you. So there's something we call zero-based thinking. Knowing what you know. After all this talking, of Lilian talking, of this strategic thinking, and all that, now it comes back to you. Knowing what you know, other aspects, so winning aspects. So all those things as you are moving on. So we'll go straight to zero-based thinking in consideration to time. Is something called zero-based thinking, knowing what you know now. What can you do differently? Okay. So a relatively new concept. It could be there, but I'll say in the COVID-19 crisis, where everyone was forced into a clean sheet, a white paper in front of you, knowing what I know now, what can I do differently? That is a zero-based thinking concept. So on to the next slide. So when you're doing the zero-based thinking, when you're having that clean sheet of paper, you need to remove that mindset. This is how we've always done things. That is a very common statement with employees, employers, business owners. This is how we've always done it. Okay, but does it make sense knowing what we know now? Does it make sense anymore right now? This is how we've always done things. No, it doesn't it's not relevant anymore with the changing environment, the changing business environment. So what do? We need to take a step back, fully examine what is done and how, okay? Once you understand that, we focus on what really matters, okay? So you've put in your priorities, you have that white sheet of paper. The next step is for you to focus on that really works, that is your mission, that gives you value, satisfaction, okay? Profit, of course. I have a background in accounts. I would want to have profits if I'm in a profit-making organization. If in a non-profit organization, there's that satisfaction that your clients are achieving your needs, okay? So when we are talking about zero-based thinking, we are basically designing for growth and profitability using one concept, knowing what you know now. What can you do differently? So let's move on to the next slide. Now, in this sort of zero-based thinking, we have 5 rights, okay? Right work, right size, right structure, right people, right measures. Does this fulfill the concept of focus? Okay, when you're saying we're doing the right work, your focus. Okay, we are not doing D when we haven't even finished or even attempted A. Right size. Okay. Unfortunately, with this COVID situation, it has forced us to possibly downsize. With the organization, it has forced us to do things that we possibly wouldn't have dreamed of or thought about. Okay, so when we're talking about the right size, that is your workforce. Do we have the right workforce for this? Remember not to have, when you're using this concept, remember that you're looking at situations where any unnecessary points or pointers, whether you have the C's and D's where you can outsource, that should not be a priority for you because you will lose focus on the main mission. Okay, right structure, your business model, the processes and procedures to get you to the right place. Do you have the right skill? Okay, so these are some of the walls that we face. We don't release this person because we've been for 20 years, but they have the right skills. Did you motivate them towards improving? Did you motivate them towards growth in preparation for the changing, things in the environment, Right measures. Have you put in a proper performance management system for you, for yourself, for your team, and for your business? Okay. So when you're talking about measures, it also includes you. What will be the problem in your business? What should you do? Ask for help. If you're the problem in your business, it's high time that you say, look, I am not sure I can do this anymore. We need to recruit you, and I will be able to give an oversight. I'll be your oversight, When you're out there, possibly you may save. These are some of the insights which are really key when you're looking at zero-based thinking. Knowing what you know now, what can you do differently? So next, starting with a clean sheet. Okay, what should you consider? Be who I am. Okay, anticipate what the market changes might come along and have an open mind to create strategy and organizational structure. Design from the outside in. What do our clients need or what do they want? Then move to what processes and procedures should I put in place to ensure that my clients get what I have to offer. Build it so they come. Create good reputation. Knowing what you know now, what can you do differently as they come? If you're having a bad reputation, you know that. Build it as it comes, okay? Create an environment will possibly change that. But we know sometimes bad reputation cannot be easily or cannot be covered. But that does not state the end. There are various avenues of changing all that into a positive or clean sheet. So we have come to the end of our session. Quote there, a very good, powerful quote. Focused mind power is the strongest force on earth, by Mark Victor. So I will leave you with that very much. So I think we can proceed to the questions. We still have a few minutes left.
So we have a few questions here. Maybe we can start with Joseph Wekesa. After strategic thinking, what are some of the ways to conduct stakeholder analysis or mapping?
Right, Joseph, that is quite simple. Sometimes we look, when we are conducting our stakeholders analysis, what we need to do is we list down the people who associated with the business. The first stakeholder of your business is your employee. Okay, you start with that. Analyze, when you're doing an analysis of the stakeholders of your employees, you're basically doing an analysis of their skills. You're doing an analysis of whether you still want to have the same people, or you want to improve their skills, or you want to have a capacity building program for them, all sort of analysis. But again, when you're doing this analysis, you need to understand your purpose, you need to understand your mission, you need to know where you're going. Another one is with your suppliers, okay? You may have different suppliers, but are they giving you what you really need? Are they efficient, As you're looking at them, also look at yourself. Are you paying them on time? Are they your ambassadors? Are they your brand ambassadors? So the next or the other important stakeholder is your customers, okay? All right. Another important stakeholder, it's your customers, whom are quite important, your clients' customers, whom are quite important for your business. Analyze their satisfaction level, analyze if you're actually giving them the products that they need. There are so many avenues. Map them out. When you're saying mapping is one thing where you list them down. Analysis, on the other hand, is another thing where you now look at each stakeholder and see their value and how best you can improve your business from the feedback you have from your stakeholders. So I hope that answers your question. So the next question would be from Victor. What is a strategy? It has been used a lot today, but I can't grasp what it is. Oh, I think I was able to answer you, Victor, but in a nutshell, we can say strategies are the tactics, okay, that you use to execute your plans, all that you've put in place. So we have Victor Kenneth. Again, what are strategies? We can put them down. Okay, all right. So I think that's a repetition. Okay. All right, from Dennis, when planning to start a business, what is the one tool that will help you decide whether or it's a go or not? Do you still apply SWOT, PESTEL to an idea? Dennis, when we started, we said strategic thinking is the first step to planning, okay? Where you analyze all aspects. You start with what is working for you or what is working against you. But if you're starting a business, the first thing you need to know or to look at is what you really want to do. Okay, is that what you're comfortable doing? Is that what you're at best at? So we know that there's some people who start businesses because your neighbor has started a business, which some work, which some don't work. But if you want to achieve a business that will run into the future, you need to actually own it and say, this is my purpose, this is what I want to do. Okay, and with that, of course, that is your starting point. Then the next thing, you of course look at your strengths and weaknesses around you. You may have this idea, but you're not a marketer. What do? You can possibly get someone to partner with you who's a marketer, converting the weaknesses into the threats. Yes, you can also look at opportunities and threats. You have this idea, you have this brilliant plan that you know that it's going to be converted into a business idea. Look at the opportunities. However much you're also looking at the opportunities, look at the threats. So yes, SWOT and PESTEL are tools that you use. But besides those, there are other accompaniment tools that you can use, okay? So a combination of things a combination of tools, theories that you can use when starting a business. And strategic thinking basically covers all that before you even start to the planning bit of it. So we have the next question from Fred Kibitu. Do I need to employ a marketing strategy to help with my business develop a different marketing strategy to expand and grow? Fred, that is a strategy, it's a tactic. If you feel that you need a marketing strategy and it's a priority and it is actually going to add value to your business, why not get one, okay, to give you a different perspective. Sometimes we get ideas from people who are out there. That's why consultants were there. You'll be able to get ideas from us to expand and grow. As I said, you cannot be your own doctor. You need help. Get it in whichever form. If you want to hire or you want to ask a friend for help, which is quite hard to come by nowadays, you actually need to possibly pay something for it. So yes, you can do that. Okay, so I think we've finished with our questions. All right, so thank you very much. So for attending, I believe we are coming to a close of our session. I would like to appreciate everyone who's come on board. I really hope that I've been of help in maybe generating your business ideas or giving you a different perspective of your businesses. All that. I really hope I've been able to work with you with that. So for more, as I mentioned earlier, and for those who've come in late, we have a business owners forum, a program, a course that we've recently developed that works with business owners. So the whole concept is that we develop the plans with you. Okay, so it's not a situation where you come to class and you're busy writing. No, you're actually writing something that is going to help you in the future. So it's a strategic management and leadership course, but focused to the business owners forum. So maybe Symone can put up our contacts there. So, and again, to thank our participants here, what we've done for the next week between 24th and 24th is a Tuesday to 27th, I'll be giving a free consultation on your strategic plans from 4 to 5. And it's at that point that I'll be able to explain the content of what the business owners forums it's about. So sometimes you need to invest to get to the next step. So there we go. Those are our contacts. That's our email address. So feel free to reach out. Even if you won't join in for the forum, we are still there to give you advice. So each person will be given at least 15 minutes so that we can try and give advice to as many people as we can. So 24th to 27th from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. we'll have a free consultation workshop, free of charge. So thank you very much for this opportunity, Symone. I'll hand the program back to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Lilian. It was a pleasure to have you with us. I really believe everyone has gained so much from this session. So far, what I've taken away is that there are about 4 strategic pillars, that is in learning and growth, internal business processes, customers and the reputation they create for you, and finally, finance in terms of costs and revenue. I've also learned about zero-based thinking, which I was not familiar with before, and how it's important to have the right work, the right size, the right people, the right structure, and right measures. So thank you also to all the attendees that engaged and gained a lot from the session. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your questions. We really do appreciate it. As Lilian said, she will be giving a free 30-minute consultation on strategic thinking to the attendees. We'll share how you can book the sessions to your, we'll send you something on your emails before the end of the day so that you know how you can book a session with her and at least be able to gain a bit more from her expertise on a one-on-one consultation. Nairobi Garage is also extending a free day pass to all the attendees. Again, this will be in your emails by the end of the day. So I'll share with you a link on where you can join us for a webinar next week. We always have webinars on Tuesday, workshops. For those of you who do not know, please continue to engage with us. We do have amazing experts. As you can see, Lilian has shared quite an informative session, and I know a lot of you have gained. So don't miss out on the next one. You can continue to share your LinkedIn pages on the chat section so everybody can engage with you and connect. And yeah, let's stay connected. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely day.